She was just a waitress, until the CEO's little girl collapsed right in front of her, and doctors later said what she did next was impossible. Imagine this: an 8-year-old girl turns pale, her crayon slips from her hand, her eyes go blank, and her blood sugar crashes to a deadly 40. Everyone freezes, except one woman who walked away from saving lives 2 years ago. Keep watching, because by the end of this story you'll be fighting back tears when you see who really saved who. Every Thursday at 4 o'clock, like clockwork, Ethan Brooks and his 8-year-old daughter, Grace, walked through the doors of Riverside Cafe. It was the only part of his week that didn't feel like he was drowning in spreadsheets and conference calls. Grace would practically skip to their usual corner table by the big window overlooking the park. Her blonde curls bounced, she chattered a mile a minute about everything that happened at school that day. Today she was going on about how her friend Emma brought a hamster for show and tell, the hamster escaped, ran under the teacher's desk, and the whole class had to chase it. Ethan stood at the counter, only half listening, his phone buzzing nonstop with emails that couldn't wait 5 minutes. He ordered their usual: black coffee for him, sugar-free hot chocolate for Grace, extra whipped cream because Thursdays were special. The waitress that afternoon was someone he'd seen before but never really spoken to. Rachel, her name tag said. She had this quiet way about her, like she noticed everything but didn't say much. When Rachel brought the drinks over, she set Grace's hot chocolate down carefully and smiled at the little girl who was already pulling out her sketch pad and colored pencils. "There you go, sweetheart. Extra whipped cream, just how you like it." Grace beamed up at her. "Thank you. Do you want to see what I'm drawing?" Rachel glanced at Ethan for permission. He nodded, still glued to his phone. But then Rachel's smile faded just a little. She tilted her head, looking closer at Grace. The kid was pale, sweaty around her hairline, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for a crayon. Most people wouldn't notice, but Rachel saw the continuous glucose monitor peeking from under Grace's sleeve. It beeped softly, a sound Ethan barely heard anymore. He checked the reading without looking up, adjusted Grace's insulin pump, and said casually, "She's fine, just running a little low." Rachel nodded slowly, but something in her gut screamed to stay close. An old instinct she thought she'd buried 2 years ago when she turned in her paramedic license and picked up an apron instead. Grace held up her drawing: 3 people under a big sun, 2 holding hands with a smaller one in the middle, and above them floated another person with wings and a halo. "That's me and Daddy," Grace explained. "And that's my friend I haven't met yet. Up there is Mommy. She's an angel now because she got sick like me and went to heaven." Rachel's throat tightened. Ethan's jaw clenched, his fingers gripping his coffee cup too hard. "That's beautiful, Grace," Rachel said softly. Ethan's phone rang. He tensed. "I have to take this. Singapore office." He looked at Rachel, almost pleading. "Can you keep an eye on her for 2 minutes? I'll be right outside." "Of course," Rachel said. "Take your time." He squeezed Grace's shoulder and stepped outside. Rachel slid into the seat across from Grace, watching the little girl hum and color the sky blue. Everything seemed normal, until it wasn't. Grace stopped humming. The crayon slipped from her fingers and rolled across the table. Her eyes went unfocused. "Miss Rachel," Grace whispered, voice small and shaky, "I don't feel good." Then the glucose monitor screamed its high-pitched alarm. Grace swayed forward, about to fall from the chair. Rachel moved faster than she had in 2 years, catching Grace, lowering her gently to the floor. People gasped, phones came out, recording instead of helping. Rachel ignored them. She checked Grace's pulse, racing, weak. The monitor read 40 milligrams per deciliter. Dangerously low. Life-threatening low. "Grace, honey, can you hear me? Stay with me, sweetheart." Grace's eyelids fluttered, mumbling words that didn't make sense. Ethan burst back in, saw his daughter on the floor, and panic took over. "Grace! Somebody call 911! He dropped to his knees, fumbling for the emergency glucagon shot, hands shaking too hard to open it. Rachel grabbed his wrist firmly. Sir, listen to me. I'm a trained paramedic. I know exactly what to do, but I need you to trust me. He stared, stunned. You're a waitress. I was a paramedic for 6 years. Let me help your daughter. Something in her voice cut through his fear. He nodded, backing off just enough. Rachel grabbed glucose gel, then shouted to the barista. Honey packets! Bring me 5, now! This was the moment everything depended on. Giving sugar by mouth to a barely conscious child is risky. One wrong move and she could choke. Glucagon takes 10 to 15 minutes to work. 911 was at least 8 minutes away. Grace didn't have that time. Rachel made the call. Ethan, hold her head steady, just like this. She put a tiny bit of honey on her finger and rubbed it inside Grace's cheek, against her gums. Sublingual absorption. Sugar soaks straight into the blood through the thin tissue, no swallowing needed. The cafe went dead silent. Rachel kept talking softly. Come on, baby girl. You're doing so good. Stay with me. Daddy's right here. I'm right here. You're going to be okay. 3 minutes felt like 3 hours. Then Grace's eyes fluttered, her lips moved. Daddy. Ethan let out a broken laugh, sob, squeezing her hand. The monitor climbed 52. 55, moving up. Sirens wailed closer. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed in. Rachel rattled off details like she'd never left the job. 8-year-old female, type 1 diabetic, severe hypoglycemia. Initial glucose 40. Administered sublingual honey at 16:07. Regained consciousness 16:12. Numbers rising. One paramedic looked up, shocked. Rachel Hayes? I thought you quit. She just nodded, hands shaking now the crisis was over. They loaded Grace onto the stretcher. Before the doors closed, Ethan pressed his business card into the manager's hand. Tell the woman who helped us I'll come back. I promise. At the hospital, the doctor told Ethan. Your daughter was minutes from coma or worse. Whoever gave that sublingual glucose knew exactly what they were doing. Most paramedics won't even attempt it. Your little girl is alive because of her. The next day, Ethan returned to the cafe. The manager said, Rachel called in sick. First time in 2 years. He got her number, called 5 times, left a desperate voicemail. This is Ethan Brooks. You saved my daughter's life and I don't even know your full name, but I need to know you're okay. Please call me back. Rachel sat in her tiny apartment, listening to the message on repeat, staring at her old paramedic uniform still hanging in the closet, and the newspaper clipping on the wall. Child dies in highway accident despite rescue efforts. 2 years ago she was the lead paramedic on a rain-soaked highway. A 7-year-old boy trapped in the wreckage. She froze for 30 seconds that cost everything. The mother's scream still haunted her dreams. You promised he'd be okay. 3 days later, Rachel walked back into the cafe. Ethan was waiting at their corner table. She tried to slip past. He stood up. Please. Just 5 minutes. They sat. Ethan's voice cracked. I came to say thank you for saving Grace when I couldn't do anything for my own kid. It was nothing, Rachel muttered. Don't do that, he said sharply. Why did you quit being a paramedic? The question broke her open. Because I killed a little boy, she whispered. I froze. By the time I moved, he was gone. His mother screamed that I promised he'd be okay. So I quit. I don't trust myself anymore. Ethan was quiet, then said softly. My wife died 3 years ago. Diabetic ketoacidosis. Grace had just been diagnosed. Sarah called me 3 times saying she felt dizzy and sick. I was in a board meeting and sent her to voicemail. By the time I got to the hospital, she was in a coma. She never woke up. Rachel's breath caught. She knew that guilt. So I get the 3 a.m. what ifs, he said. I know pretending you're fine when you're broken. The door burst open. Grace ran in, threw her arms around Rachel's neck. You're the hero lady! Rachel froze, then hugged her back and started crying, really crying, for the first time in 2 years. Grace pulled back. My birthday party is next Saturday at the hospital. Will you come? Daddy said I can invite whoever I want. Ethan nodded. There's someone I want you to meet. The director of the paramedic recertification program. Rachel opened her mouth to say no, but Ethan slid a folded paper across the table. I read the coroner's report from your accident. The boy died on impact from internal injuries. Massive trauma. No one could have saved him. You didn't fail, Rachel. The crash took him before you even arrived. She stared, tears falling. You're sure? I'm sure. You've been punishing yourself for something that was never your fault. Grace climbed into her lap and patted her hair. A week later, Rachel stood outside the children's hospital ballroom in a borrowed dress, purple balloons everywhere for diabetes awareness. She almost turned around, until Grace dragged her inside. The party was beautiful: cake, games, doctors, donors, kids with frosting on their faces. Then Ethan took the microphone. 3 weeks ago, my daughter collapsed in a cafe. I froze. But a waitress named Rachel Hayes saved her life with a technique so advanced most paramedics won't attempt it. Every head turned. Rachel wanted to disappear, but Grace held her hand tight. A doctor in the crowd nodded. That technique requires perfect judgment. She made the exact right call. The hospital director stepped forward. Miss Hayes, your license lapsed for administrative reasons only. No disciplinary action ever filed. We're offering you a full scholarship to our advanced paramedic recertification program, and a guaranteed job on our pediatric emergency team when you finish. The room was silent. Grace looked up. Say yes. Then you can save more kids like me. Rachel looked at the doctor, at Ethan, at Grace. Yes, she said, voice strong. Yes, I'll do it. The applause shook the windows. 6 months later, Rachel, now back in uniform, responded to a child choking from an allergic reaction at a playground. She worked the scene calm and steady. When the mother sobbed, You saved my baby, Rachel smiled and said, Just doing my job. That Thursday at 4 o'clock she walked into Riverside Cafe still wearing her paramedic uniform. Ethan and Grace were at their usual table. Grace's face lit up. Miss Rachel, you look like a real superhero now. Rachel slid into the seat beside her, no longer the quiet waitress, but family. Grace was coloring a new picture, 3 people holding hands under a big sun. Across the top in wobbly letters she had written, My family saved me and I saved them back. Ethan and Rachel's eyes met over Grace's blonde curls. No words needed. Sometimes the people we save are the ones who save us right back. Sometimes the bravest thing is showing up again after you've fallen. And sometimes family is just who refuses to leave when everything falls apart. If this story reminded you that second chances are real, that healing is possible, and that the ones who save us often need saving too, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because every week we bring you another true story that proves love and redemption are always worth fighting for. Click the video on your screen, because the next story might be the one that shows you it's never too late to come home to who you were meant to be. Thank you for being here with us,